Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, the 11th of September. We're Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Ian Coleman and Steve O'Hare. Good morning, guys.
Morning, all.
Good morning.
How are we?
All right.
Good.
Yeah, it's not bad, not bad. End of the week, very nice.
Yeah, that always helps, doesn't it?
Been a tough week, actually, getting the
Yeah.
calls, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it has been a little bit
I thought Lagarde
challenging.
might
Make things easier.
go with my direction, but she didn't.
Well, she may have done, but the market didn't, basically.
Yeah. She's still
It's
talking down the euro a bit. I mean, she did say that.
Didn't do a bloody good job, did she?
No, she sort of said that. I mean, euro sterling flew, didn't it?
Yeah.
She sort of she was talking about that they don't intervene in interest in exchange rates.
Yeah.
But when things become too expensive, then they have to do something about it. So it depends which way you take it, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't really trust central banks like that as well, because obviously when the Swiss National Bank said we don't, the peg is here to stay.
You were long.
Who wasn't long? Hands up. Who wasn't long?
Well,
not many people have put their hands up.
Not many people were short. That was the fact too.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seemed like a no-brainer.
I love those trades. I always work those ones.
Yeah, put your house on it. A lot of people did. Anyway,
got a new chair as well, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what that thing was that went through on Amazon.
Ergonomic.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Let's look at it. Is it looking good?
It's all right. Yeah. A mesh number, so it's a bit cooler than the level one I had before.
Yeah.
Not sticking to this one.
I'm now down a chair and down some earphones. I might have to purchase
to get yourself back up.
Back on side. So COVID numbers are flying through the roof. I don't know if you've seen this overnight.
10,000, isn't it?
10,000 in France yesterday.
Yeah, it's just because they started to bring out the real numbers now that now they're sort of like people.
Have you got a map or something, Joey?
No map. Just a headline really saying that Western Europe has now surpassed the US in daily COVID-19 infections, re-emerging as the global hotspot for the virus. So it would appear that this is the second wave well and truly underway.
Lockdown 2, isn't it? It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it's not, but
the thing is, obviously the US have stopped testing, so they're going to be surpassed by Europe, who are sort of like upping the tests.
He wants to make everybody feel good before the next election, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was hoping that the vaccine was going to be sorted before then, but that's not happening now, is it? So he's going to slow down on the testing to make it all look hunky dory.
Yeah. And then he'll sort of blame. Well, he'll probably still get back in, because there is a talk of him just like not getting the result, isn't there? Just like saying, no, I'm still.
He won't accept it, will he?
Yeah, no, fake news. Fake news.
Dark towers.
I'm not accepting it. Well, what are you going to do if he's not accepting it and he's still in charge of the armed forces?
He's got his rights.
It could be a real sort of humdinger.
Yeah.
But let's see. Markets. Because of markets.
Yeah. So as we just sort of touched upon with President Christine Lagarde yesterday, the ECB left its asset purchases and interest rates unchanged, but the main area of interest was the strength in the euro. The bank is keeping an eye on the euro and particularly in the strength, but there's no immediate need to intervene. US stocks were also headed for a second week of declines, with tech continuing to lead the declines. Anything you guys have seen on the charts to keep an eye on today?
Was quite sexy. Well, not sexy. I don't know about sexy. Right, euro sterling. So it's obviously surpassed the 261.8% extension level on that sort of decent rally up after Lagarde's sort of non-event yesterday. But one currency pair that's virtually -1 correlated to euro sterling is sterling Swiss.
Sterling euro.
Yeah, that's the one. That is -1 correlated, strangely enough. There's like Tourette's again this morning. Is this? It's you don't see these very often because I'd made it up this morning. This is called a crab pattern. It's a 361.8% extension level of this first wave, and it's then a 161.8% extension level of that wave, and they're quite aggressive reversal patterns. It doesn't look like it at the moment, but if that was to edge higher, obviously that would be higher sterling, lower Swiss. That should mean that euro sterling moves to the downside. With regards to the other sort of bits and bobs, 261.8% extension on the dollar index. This doesn't look like a full retracement to me. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get the 50% and then come down to sort of 61.8%. That's where I think your prime sort of long dollar entries are, because you're sort of looking at a decent fib and a possible right shoulder of a head and shoulders pattern. And if you reflect that back onto euro dollar, left shoulder, head, neckline, quite a nice neckline really. You've got loads up here. You've got 119.55 is a 78.6% fib. 119.64 is a previous swing high. 119.68 is our bespoke resistance. So, and it's a monthly resistance one as well, which are normally quite strong. So that sort of zone there, if we get there, and it doesn't look exactly like much of a rally's going on this morning, but if we got round to that zone, I'd love to get short of euro dollar. And if you look to cable, so obviously you're thinking about those two sort of moving to the upside. And the thing is about fibs, they're so subjective, aren't they? Because you can go, well, is that the first wave or is that the first wave, and blah blah blah, and keep on fiddling with it until it looks quite good. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and this congestion, and then possibly sort of completing a fifth wave. But who knows? That's what I'm thinking. And dollar Swiss, again, that sort of hit this trendline support yesterday. But I think that's more likely to sort of see a bit of a false rally and then come down to this 78.6% fib as that dollar corrects lower. But apart from that, that's what I'm sort of concentrating on today. So no real sort of call to action at current levels, if you know what I mean, unless it was possibly sterling Swiss.
Okay. Steve, you got anything?
I'm just looking at the euro dollar. Just Ian sort of like saying about that head and shoulders formation. This is the weekly chart on euro dollar, and we are sort of like, we've seen how aggressive this upward move has been, and it's sort of like hanging about this 61.8 fib retracement, and obviously this previous swing high. So it is really decision level around here. Whether it's just sort of like consolidation before the next move up, you could sort of like say it's we're sort of, this is maybe the fourth wave. If we look at the hourly chart, it's more of expanding wedge, I suppose, if you sort of take it back to end of July, start of August. So we are, I don't know, I mean, the dollar story is, that's what we're all sort of like trying to sort of second guess the next move by using every sort of analysis, and it's quite a tricky one over the different time frames. It's even on the daily chart, you sort of got this nice sort of like gentle upward sloping support line, but then yesterday's shooting star candle, you sort of think, oh, it's like all these mixed signals we're getting. Momentum is sort of like, has been negative for quite a while now, but it's turning higher, and we're making these new highs. I don't know, it's a really tricky one. Commodities like the gold and silver, I still feel like they're still bullish, and if the next move higher will be based on a dollar weakness, I think, or maybe even sort of some safe haven driven move based on maybe further lockdown. I don't know. I mean, it looks like everyone's trying to do everything to avoid a full lockdown, and I don't think that will change. So it's going to get pretty messy out there.
Yeah.
Copper is a bit chippity chop around this $3 level. The hourly charts have done enough sort of, I mean, we had this double top, even maybe a triple top formation, you could call it, and obviously the potential for this bigger double top formation, if we get a break below 295, then that'll be very negative. Had a bit of a bearish flag looking, and it's sort of achieved its move down, but it's reacted in front of this 295 level and all the way back up. I'm looking to sell a rally at a lower high this morning, 304, but the stop's got to be pretty wide to get any sort of decent risk reward out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing really looking at is the FTSE. We had this downward channel. We've broken up consolidation, and it sort of, as you can see, it's having a bit of a drive higher at the moment, or it did have a drive higher. It sort of failed around this 60-30, 60-35 level. It does feel a little bit bullish on the indices. It's sort of like very scratch your head time.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was just looking at the indices as well. I'll just bring my chart up. So, yeah, I like what you're seeing with the FTSE. We've got this inverse head and shoulders in this break of the channel, which we're all over, but very much sideways price action over the last couple of days as we consolidate. So we need to see a bit of a break up on that to continue with that story. But if you look at the CAC, we've got this chopping in between this sort of triangle pattern, so not really going anywhere. Had a decent move up early doors, but that's been sold off. The DAX is a similar sort of thing, still in a bullish channel, looking to buy dips, but very short term, quite choppy. The US indices are really underperforming compared to the European ones at the moment. This is the NASDAQ, not really going anywhere in the very short term, and S&P looks like it could be potentially rolling over. If you just look
both
at that
look like inverse head and shoulders as well, don't they? They both got the potential for that, haven't they?
Absolutely, and more often than not, the US indices are bullish. So if that does start to take shape, then don't be afraid to back it, because generally the US indices go up. So yeah, quite interesting. Not sure there's much that's going to drive it today in terms of news. We've got US CPI out 130, and that pretty much looks to be it. We've got some Eurogroup meetings as well, so there could be some headlines that come out throughout the day.
The old saying goes, buy high, sell, buy low, sell high. But there is a better saying, buy high, sell higher.
Yes.
But especially when you're on these all-time highs.
Absolutely. So let's quickly gloss over the guns to the head stuff yesterday, because we
was it pretty out, was it?
Yeah, total wipeout yesterday. 3 trades, 3 stop outs, unfortunately. So a bit of a dent in the old P&L, as you can see there on the chart. So we need to get that back heading in the right direction. So who's going to close off the week with a big old winner for us?
I'm going to go for Sterling Swiss.
Which one are you going for, Ian?
Sterling Swiss.
Right, you've got the charts.
So crab pattern, hopefully. Confluence area.
Looks a bit fishy to me.
Ooh, I'm targeting all the way up here. What I am going to do though is I'm going to have a little bit of I'm not going to put the stop directly underneath the low, because what has a tendency to happen a lot is that you just make a new low just to get a bit of divergence on these shorter time frame charts. So I'm going to stick my stop down there at 158.81. So I'm getting, it's moved. It's only moved. Fuck's sake. Jesus. That's knocked my P&L right out now, isn't it?
It's disaster now, mate.
You go 4-1. Getting long at 116.76, targeting 120.55. Stop at 115.81. Probably need a bit of news to get it up there today, but
we'll see. You've got to be in it to win it, as we say.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at the S&P. After all that chat about saying only buy the US indices, I'm going to suggest or predict that we're going to see a little bit of further downside in the S&P. Just purely on this hourly setup, we've got a downtrend. Yes, there's potential for an inverse head and shoulders to take shape there, but we have rallied into some resistance this morning at 33.75. Posted a bit of a shooting star candle into that resistance as well. So I'm going to sell it now at 33.63. I'm going to target a move down to these swing lows that we saw on the 8th, which is at 32.97, and a stop loss at 33.86.5. So 2.85R if that plays out from here. That's me.
Nice one.
Here we go, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was also looking at that. That was my other option.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, we've got this bullish flag forming here. The measurement target is up here.
They're not listening to what I've said at all.
No. I'm trying to sort of
look at the trend, though.
One of them's got to be right. Yeah.
We're dovetailing, yeah? That's what it's all about.
We don't get whipped out.
Well, that's the only. I mean, there's a good chance I will get whipped out because my stops are always a bit too tight. I've got a 25 tick stop on this, getting long at 90. What price is it? 92.24. And 91.99 stop. And the target 93.99, just below the 94 level. It's around the measure move target. So that's a nice 7-to-1 winner.
Good luck.
I'm showing you.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? End the week on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So day ahead, only the US CPI to keep an eye out for at 1:30, and some potential for some headlines from the Eurogroup meeting, which potentially could chuck out some Brexit headlines. Again, Boris facing quite a bit of scrutiny from his own party, as well as everybody else. He's having a bit of a tough time of it at the moment, it would seem.
Yeah, still not well as well, I think.
What, COVID fallout?
Yeah, I think so. That's what the word on the street is. I think, sort
long
of like...
COVID is what I heard. There was some people, I don't know if they were buying it, but there was some chat about
can you buy it? Can you?
Yeah, some people were having effects that are lasting months.
Yeah, I think sort of like especially older
one
people.
Big hangover.
Yeah, one big hangover.
The
whole thing feels like that, doesn't it?
I've had that for months anyway.
Just topping up.
Excellent.
Okay, I don't think there's much else for us to go over. No, doesn't appear to be any headlines out this morning of any note either. So let's leave it at that for the week.
Lovely.
Yeah, lovely.
Good luck, guys.
With some decent winners on the Gun to the Head challenge, and we will catch everybody next week.
Yeah,
lovely.
Have a lovely weekend.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.